Chris Scalzo here with
Matty Ball Game.
This week on the first run, Matt and I are going to discuss the girl who walks home alone at night. Or, excuse me, not the. It's a girl who walks home alone at night. That really changes everything when you screw up the indefinite article. So that's on me. We'll tell you what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD, and tell you what's we should maybe be streaming this week as well. And then we're going to do our 5 favorite foreign genre films, and we'll get into what all that means too. Unfortunately, Dave couldn't join us again this week. He's out, I think, just resuscitating puppies someplace. There was a big problem at a puppy mill around here, and he rushed to their aid. He's been giving mouth-to-mouth to a whole bunch of little puppies. It's horrific and adorable at the same time. So
That one's adorable, kind of horrific.
So, Matt, a girl walks home alone at night. It's an Iranian film shot in California, I want to stress, which when I found that out really kind of ruined some of it for me. But made in California, but it's done by an Iranian. Her name is Anna Lily Amanpour. She actually wrote it, but it's based on a graphic novel as well. But it's a vampire. It's described as a vampire spaghetti western, right? And it's about this woman who just stalks the streets of Iran at night, meeting people and then doing what vampires do, even though at no point is she called a vampire.
Mm-mm.
All right. I don't know if that's important to point out or not. So there you go. It's got a lot of great reviews, Matt. It currently has a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's supposed to be really atmospheric and scary and just a great little entry into the vampire genre. So is that right? Is that all those things correct?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's, I don't know if it's scary, but it's definitely got a lot of atmosphere. I really enjoyed it. I think it was, really fun to watch. I think it was really beautiful. Not a whole lot of story. So it's a lot of, just kind of images and scenes and music cues and stuff like that. There's not even a whole lot of dialogue. So, which I thought was interesting. But it's a really beautiful film, and I think it's a fun film to watch. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, for me, it was more about just lonely reject type people who don't really feel like that they fit anywhere and finding love more than it was a vampire movie. Mm-hmm. That stuff was almost incidental to the film, just to kind of to push the plot, whatever plot there is, to push it forward. For me, it was kind of just an odd little love story. It was a slick little film. I liked a lot how it's done in black and white. So a lot of there's some nice, gorgeous shots, real dark blacks and stark whites and the grays with I really enjoyed the palette of the film, if you could even say that, considering it's black and white.
Right.
And I agree with you that I don't think it's scary. It's creepy. It's atmospheric. It has some great little, I thought, scare moments, basically whenever she does her thing.
Right.
They do a good job of kind of speeding up the action of that, the attack, I guess. So it still kind of takes you off guard, at least the first time it happens. And one thing I thought was weird too for me, I don't know how you feel about this. I feel like the supporting cast was more fleshed out than the main characters.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. I mean, they were the main characters, I guess, you could say that they're almost like ciphers, or there's kind of blank slates kind of thing. But I think that maybe intentional, because they're trying to, show that they're lonely people and that they don't really have a whole lot of, I don't know, I guess personality, for them, I guess. So I don't know. That's a good point though. Yeah.
You think about the prostitute Addie, you really kind of get into her head and what she's been doing, how long she's been doing this, and then the toll it takes on her soul.
Yeah.
Our main character Arash, his father Hossein too, same thing. He's an addict struggling to survive after the wife has either left or died. I'm assuming in their culture she's died.
Right.
I don't know if that's a horrible thing for me to say, but so it's, I don't know. And then I like the whole concept of kind of jamming this genre into this kind of a theocratic totalitarianism type state.
Yeah.
I almost feel, though, I wish they could have done more with that, to kind of have the fact that how crazy it would be for a woman to be walking alone at night in Iran. I think that's more of a taboo thing for maybe that culture than it is for us. And I'm kind of, maybe though I'm just being ignorant and naive. I don't know,
Well,
but I would like to
I
maybe
think
see
you're
something
right.
like that.
I mean, I think you're right. I think that is the play on the actual, on why it's kind of like a big deal and why she kind of garners attention and stuff like that. But the whole thing is very, the whole thing is it takes place in a place called Bad City, which is obviously, I'm assuming it's some kind of, I don't think that actually exists, but but I mean,
wait. You don't think that some town named themselves Bad City? You don't think that
maybe bad means something else, like it's Bod City or something like that.
Or like Michael Jackson Bad, we're bad.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay.
But what's weird about the movie is that there's barely any people in it. I mean, it seems extremely empty. So yeah, I mean, I thought I thought they might have played up a little bit more of the Muslim things, but like, of what I know of the Iranian judicial system. I mean, DJ Ninja from The Antwoord, he didn't seem very, very concerned with his illegal activities, and neither was the prostitute. So I guess they wasn't really something that they really wanted to touch on. But I did really like the when she's wearing the haji as like a cape over her hair, and she's like going through the streets and it's flowing out behind her. I thought that was some really good shots, especially when she's running around on a skateboard. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I think that was one of the more effective things too. I think that's a great little piece of costume design or use of. I really appreciate that as well. For me, the spaghetti western part of it that everybody's saying too, I didn't get that as much, except for the introduction of kind of the Morricone style score that you hear occasionally through the film. But outside of that, I didn't kind of get that.
Yeah,
I didn't see any of the tropes, any of the other spaghetti western tropes that you normally see.
Yeah, I didn't either. You didn't have kind of like the drifter coming into town and bad guys and all that kind of stuff. I guess unless you talk about, kind of like the kind of empty expanses of the town that they're in, is kind of like simulating the plains kind of thing, and the musical cues, which were obviously there. I mean, but yeah, I'm with you. I didn't really see anything else as far as that homage goes.
Do you feel too that the film was better served by us not really getting any backstory of the girl, the main character, our vampire?
Yeah, I think so. And we may probably end up talking about this a little bit later, but like another film, Let the Right One In, it's pretty successful when you don't really know the backstory. I don't think it really matters. I mean, they are what they are, and they're kind of dealing with the story as it happens right then. We don't need, I think, a lot of backstory. I think it works as just kind of like this entity that we don't know a whole lot about, so we can kind of empathize with the characters.
So let me ask you, if you find out that this girl that you have a big crush on ends up being responsible for something happening horrible in your life, would you still run away with her, or do you think kind of at that point, you know what? I was okay with the undead part and the sucking of the blood, but the fact that you're responsible for this in my life, I mean, where would you draw the line? I'm trying to figure out where I would kick her to the curb.
Well, I guess, if all things were being equal, I would say I would kick her to the curb at that point. But you got to understand that she would probably kill you as opposed to just letting you go. So in the interest of self-preservation, maybe I run away with her, and then when it's daytime, then I take off.
That's an interesting way to handle it.
Yeah.
I wonder if the normal stuff works on her. Like obviously, if we think daylight does, because she doesn't appear during the day.
Right.
But garlic, wolfsbane, or is that just werewolves?
That's werewolves. Garlic crosses, but
I don't know about that's interesting at the crosses.
Maybe
they recognize Jesus. I just don't think they.
Maybe a crescent. If you held up a crescent, they're Muslim.
That's right. Interesting.
Yeah,
we'd have to look into that. Oh, so many backstories. Maybe it's in the graphic novel. I'll have to check that out.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's in the short film, because I think she made a short film in between this, so maybe there's more of that in there.
Maybe. And I read too that she actually does the skateboarding scenes. The director writer, she's an avid skateboarder. So whenever you see somebody on the skateboard, it's actually her.
Okay, well that's cool.
So there you are. So what's your recommendation for the kids at home?
Yeah, I would say see it. I mean, I wouldn't go in expecting some kind of terrifying, bloody, although it does have a few graphic scenes in it, but
So you thought it was atmospheric?
Yeah, I thought it was atmospheric. I mean, I wouldn't go into it thinking it's going to be a horror movie, but I mean, if it's something that, if you're of that little bit of an artsy bent, and you know want to see something that's good on Netflix, I would check it out.
All right. Yeah, I think I would have to agree with you. It's not like you said. It's not terrifying. It's just unsettling and creepy throughout, but it's really well shot. It looks fantastic, and yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it, and you know what? Anytime that my vampires aren't weepy, this isn't Twilight vampires, you know. So I'm on board. Is it romance? Fine, yes, and I'm still waiting for my monster vampire movie, but still, I think it's good. I enjoyed it, and hell, it's on Netflix streaming right now, so check it out.
Yeah,
you can't really go wrong.
There you go. Hey, you know what? I know you haven't seen it, but if you want your monster vampires Near Dark, check it out.
I have owned that thing on Blu-ray for 3 years, and I have yet to watch it.
There you go.
Which is just embarrassing. So, if you got a chance to see A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What'd you say?
I said we should check it out this weekend.
There you go. Yep. So, and you shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. So let's segue over into our Blu-ray DVD picks. Here are the big things that are coming out on Blu-ray and DVD that you'll want to check out. First up, and this is, of course, for May 4th, this upcoming Tuesday, the fantastic film Selma is being released. And if you buy it from Walmart, they're actually making a donation to education. It's a little mercurial, so I'm not quite sure exactly what it is and what it consists of. I'm sure their website tells you more. Comes a Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy, and ultraviolet stream. A bunch of deleted and extended scenes, some commentaries by the director and actor. You get to see the Glory music video with John Legend and Common and a bunch of other stuff. Did you catch up with Selma at all, Matt?
I have not seen it yet, no.
All right. So, yeah, it's good. It is really good. I did enjoy it. So if you get a chance to see it, you should. Black Sea, a film that didn't get a lot of play around here, but looked pretty interesting. It's just a Jude Law treasure hunt movie where a bunch of guys get on a submarine to go find this buried sunken ship, and then they're all kind of shady and they start taking each other down to try and see who ends up getting the treasure. It's supposed to be pretty good. That's getting released on Blu-ray. Includes commentary by the director Kevin McDonald. Black or White, this is a film starring Kevin Costner and Octavia Spencer, where they're the two grandparents fighting over the custody of the daughter. It's supposed to delve into some kind of weighty, race issues and forgiveness and some other stuff. Includes a Blu-ray digital copy and a couple features exclusive to just the Blu-ray. So if you want to check that out, that's coming. Mr. Turner, a film that's supposed to be really good, played in the art house district. I think was actually nominated for Best Picture. Includes audio commentary by the director Mike Lee. It's based on the great English painter, about his life story. The cinematic palette, the cinematography of Mr. Turner, and a deleted scene. One of my man crushes, Ryan Gosling, in Lost River. He directed and wrote this film. It's about a single mother, and she's swept into a dark underworld where her teenage son discovers a road that leads him to a secret underwater town. I've heard it's really bad.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed about that. So maybe if it hits Netflix, I'm sure it will, and we can check that out. What else we got? We have, new to Blu-ray. Finally, a new corrected 4K transfer for Goodfellas, 25th anniversary release. Whole new transfer. It's supposed to look absolutely gorgeous. Includes an ultraviolet, all the previous featurettes, including an all-new, I think, feature-length documentary on the making of the film. Includes interviews with Scorsese, the cast, Leonardo DiCaprio, Keitel, Liotta, Jack Nicholson, Joe Pesci, a whole bunch of people. So I own it on DVD, but I will be upgrading to this Blu-ray because it is supposed to be really good and it's supposed to look fantastic.
So why Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. Oh, you know what I read too? It says Jack Nicholson on the back, but he actually supposedly doesn't appear in the documentary at all.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I don't know if they just cut him out or somebody just decided to throw his name on there because they owed him a favor.
Maybe they thought it was for The Departed or something.
Could be. Scream Factory is releasing Mad Max Collector's Edition, the Mel Gibson classic. Includes new interviews with Gibson, as well as Joanne Samuel and the director of photography, David Egby. Some other new featurettes as well. But if you're a fan of Mad Max, this Blu-ray release is supposed to be pretty good. And it's been on sale for a while now, so you can check it out. Part of the Spielberg collection, he put out a whole box set. Was it early this year or late last year? I think late last year for the holidays. Well, now individually available are Munich, Duel, 1941, Always, and Sugarland Express.
Okay.
And then finally, Ford Fairlane and Lady Hawk are all getting their Blu-ray debuts.
Wow, Lady Hawk. That's essential.
There you go. So your straight to DVD pick of the week, I went with 10. I really enjoyed reading this one, so here you go.
All
10
right.
women find themselves in a vacant mansion on Spectre Island. I'm stressing this, Spectre Island, in
Okay.
December of 1972. Each believes she's traveled to the house on business, but they all agree that something seems strange. For one thing, the entire house is full of pictures and statues of pigs. The women all come from drastically different walks of life. None of them have been chosen to spend the night together in such an eerie place, but the last ferry for the mainland has just left, and a terrible storm is rolling in. Trying to make the best of an unpleasant situation, they raid the mansion's wine cellars and throw a party. As the night creeps on, however, it becomes clear that someone or something has lied to get them into the house. It's not long before someone mentions that, again, Spectre Island is haunted. Of course, no one in the house believes in ghosts, at least not until the first murder. What do an actress, a religious zealot, a renegade, a co-ed, a model, a singer, a medium, a real estate investor, a historian, and a doctor have in common? Absolutely nothing. None of them, though, have seen who they seem to be. They don't appear to be who they seem to be. Yet the fate of the entire world rests in their hands. The entire world, Matt.
Wow. We're fucked. Nope.
So, a bunch
Screwed.
of loaded up ladies on wine at a haunted mansion on, again, Spectre Island.
Maybe they just were big James Bond fans or something.
What are the odds that that place would be haunted? Ghost Island, home of ghosts. So what should we be streaming this week? Well, we talked about A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which you should definitely check out. A great documentary called Fed Up is on Netflix right now as well, and how the doctors tend to think that the obesity problem in the country is actually based on our sugar intake and not actually caloric or fat intake. It's actually pretty interesting. But the latest film from David Wayne, the people who brought us Wet Hot American Summer, the latest one, They Came Together, with Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler, is released. And it's basically a satire, Matt, on relationships.
Okay.
And how this couple, they keep breaking up and then coming back together over and over again. And they're so horrible for each other. It's ridiculous. So, I don't know. I watched it. I thought it was pretty damn funny. It's obscenely inappropriate at times. And I was watching this with my partner and her mother. So that was a fun watch. But so you check out They Came Together on Netflix. Matt, do you have any news for us? Will you have time to pull anything together?
Yeah, I got a couple things, not much, but I'll give you what I got here.
All right.
So first off, Kingsman 2, Kingsman: The Secret Service is getting an official sequel. Apparently this thing made a ton of money. Had an $80 million budget, and it has made $400 million worldwide, which is obviously, hey, it's a pretty good return on investment. So Fox is moving ahead with making a Kingsman 2.
I liked it, but I don't really know if I need to see another one.
Okay. There you go. I have not had the chance to catch it, so I will at some point. But yeah, I was a little surprised, but yeah, they're moving right ahead. Also, they have announced that Channing Tatum is going to be the head character in the adaptation of the Joe Haldeman novel, one of my favorite science fiction novels, called The Forever War. Now, Chris, have you had the chance to read The Forever War?
No, I cannot read.
Okay, well, very good. Well, then let me tell you what it's about. It's about in the future, humanity gets into an interstellar war with an alien race, and
one day, mark my words,
it will happen. And what it is it follows a platoon of soldiers to go fight the aliens, but since they're traveling at relativistic speeds, time passes very slowly for them, where hundreds of years have passed back on Earth. So as they go to all these different battles and they keep coming back to Earth, things have changed drastically. Obviously, this was written around the Vietnam War, so it's kind of a, soldiers can't go home with it again kind of thing. But it's got a lot of neat hard science in it. It's a really cool book. And it's not long either. So I mean, if you get the chance, check it out. So I'm actually pretty excited that's on the docket.
So are we talking like Ender's Game good? Because that movie stunk.
Well, the book's a lot better than Ender's Game. I think it's a lot less, spectacle, but I mean, it's got a lot of cool ideas in it.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. Well, hey, we're all big fans of Channing Tatum around here. We have a segment named after him. So Good. We're hoping for the best.
There you go. Well, yeah, I am too. Now,
Well, if
also,
I may, do you know who's directed? Who's the attached director for that Bad Bear?
let me see.
If they've even gotten that far yet? Can Tatum make that call? Is he that big at this point?
Looks like it's Ridley Scott.
Not familiar. Let's move on.
Never heard of that guy?
Oh, really? I thought so. Is he that movie? Is he? How far out is this? Because isn't he working on Blade Runner 2 right now?
Let's see. No, so he's finishing up on post-production of The Martian. Blade Runner 2 has been handed off to a different director, Denis Villeneuve, who directed Prisoners.
Okay.
And then I guess he's going to do Prometheus 2. And then after that, let's see. Yeah, then it's the Forever War, if he ends up sticking around.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
There you go. Also, this is a weird one. Did you ever see the movie, the kind of weird indie movie Cube?
Yeah. Cube. Yeah. Everybody wakes up in the cube, and it's all these death traps.
It's basically like a death trap maze.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're making a remake of that called Cubed. So that's a little odd.
I thought I heard they were doing that like years ago.
I don't know. I guess they're really getting it going here. Looks like it's going to be the let's see, features the directing debut of Vincenzo Natali. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the guy who directed the first one. Excuse me.
I was gonna say
Yeah, who did Splice, and he's been working on Hannibal. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot of information on it right now, but apparently they're moving forward with that, which is really weird. And considering there were sequels too.
Yeah, exactly. And that was kind of an independent little horror film too, right? It wasn't like a big. Was it even like a straight to DVD kind of thing?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it was released at all. Honestly, I don't remember. I mean, that was back in. I would have been in high school when that came out, so I mean, I wasn't exactly seeking out independent horror movies out in
Looks like 1997.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was just a little weird.
Maybe. I wanted to ask you, did you watch The Flash yet from last night?
No, I haven't. Tuesday? I did not watch last night.
I had such a great... I was like, that was my biggest geek moment right there.
Yeah.
Just that reaction is kind of how I was the whole night watching that episode. It was...
I've seen some pictures, and I've seen some pretty big... was it Gorilla Grodd? Did he show up?
That's next week.
That's next week, okay.
3 episodes left, but Grodd is next week. But everything... I don't want to spoil it. You just have to see it. Maybe we can talk about it another time. It is great. I was very excited about last night's episode, so...
All right.
Lots of big. They've set the stage for lots of big things to happen in the final 3 episodes. So good job, people at Flash.
Yeah, they're doing. I'm glad somebody is handling the DC universe well.
Yeah, I know. You want to talk about that article too? I'm curious.
Yeah, I just want to bring this up too because I just want to see you get apoplectic for a second here. So you know that Terminator Genesis trailer that you hate so much and that you urge people not to go see. Unless they don't want to be spoiled. Well, there's no getting around it now because you might have to dig your own eyeballs out because the new Terminator Genesis poster that's going to be all over the place in movie theaters has a big old picture of the spoiler right in the middle of it.
I saw that like an hour before we were sit down to record this. And I could not believe... I'm assuming there's some other big spoiler that... You know what? Screw it. I guess we can just talk about it at this point. So, because it's going to be in the poster. I don't know how you're going to avoid it. So, John Connor somehow becomes a cyborg Terminator thing where he's actually like molten lava or something. I don't quite understand it, but I don't know. Somehow he gets captured. The Skynet turns him into whatever it is and send him back in time now, not just to take on Kyle Reese, played by the modern Sam Worthington, Jay Courtney, and then of course Arnie, and then the what's her name there, the dragon lady.
Yeah.
So Amelia something, right? What's her name? Amelia
Clark.
Amelia Clark. So it's stupid. Anyway. I could go on for like an hour how stupid it is to reveal this. How great would it have been when he first shows up on the screen? You'd be like, what? Now you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I was wondering when that was going to happen.
It's going to be oh, no, they didn't.
ugh, I don't understand. It's so stupid. It's all right, whatever.
I know
You know what it is? You know what the problem is too? When before I was cautiously optimistic about this film,
right.
now I'm not. Now I'm
They
cautiously
gotta.
pessimistic
They
because of
have
this
got to
reveal.
be. I mean, they're really doubling down on showing with this thing here, and I don't know what it is. It's either they're just desperate to get people in the seats, or they've got something even bigger up their sleeve. But I can't even imagine what the hell it would be.
Because it has to be something bigger because that reveal is not enough to put anybody in any seats. I'm sorry, but Jason Isaacs is not putting butts in seats. So showing him on the poster transformed is not going to do it. I'm
Right.
not going to look at people are not going to be not they're not going to be unfamiliar with the franchise, right? So you came off a boat from Mars. You have no idea what the franchise is about. You look at that poster, that's not going to be the thing that puts you in your seat. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't, whatever. All right. So get to the damn article. So we're talking about DC's handling. And I'm going to say what I think is mishandling of this entire launch.
Right. So it's by the Hollywood Reporter, and it's really talking about how there's a general feeling in Hollywood that DC is really just screwing up its properties, trying to emulate Marvel, and they give a lot of reasons for this. They stress several times throughout the article that it's not the IP. Obviously Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, those are all iconic characters. You don't really have to worry about that. But what it is that they're trying to do is they're stumbling over themselves so quickly to try and make money like the same way that Marvel is doing it, that they're not taking the step back to actually kind of make a coherent universe. They're doing things like hiring 5 writers to write the Wonder Woman movie, and they're just picking the one that they think sticks. They don't have a guiding voice like they do in Kevin Feige over at Marvel. So it's those kinds of things that it's really kind of dooming the shared universe. In fact, their Kevin Feige is Zack Snyder. So obviously, that just take that what you will.
And terrifyingly, too, the other person it might be is Jeff Loeb. And I'm sorry, but his involvement sans Christopher Nolan has been disastrous. Everything he's been a part of, Blade Trinity was his baby, all right? Watch that film, and then you tell me what you think. So I don't know. I don't understand it. It's my only hope in this is that supposedly Jeff Johns is mightily involved in all of this.
Yeah.
And Johns is a huge DC guy. He's well steeped in all of this stuff with them. So I think he's a creative editor in chief too at DC at this point, right?
I don't know. I just don't
know.
know.
Up there in the chain.
Okay.
So I'm hoping he can kind of corral some of this and get things focused, but I don't know. I'm really nervous about this. I don't like Jason Momoa. I'm just not a fan of him. And
Right.
him as Aquaman, fine. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. But that idea, they said where they hired 5 writers for Wonder Woman. They all asked they had 5 writers to do a treat. No, they gave them a scenario and said, write this. And they took the 2 best out of that. And then to have them come up with like a full film or something, I don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
The Marvel is such controlled. When sometimes, you know what though, sometimes it's to their detriment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because their first Captain America film's okay.
Yeah.
The Thor films are all right.
Right.
The Hulk film still, there's no interest. There's no reason to see any of them.
Right.
So they're constricted by their strict adherence to a greater story arc.
Right.
Maybe Warner Brothers can figure that part out of it out.
Maybe.
I don't know. The biggest problem is fun.
Yeah.
There's no fun right now in DC's Warner Brothers films, and that's what I think the key thing that's going to hurt them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's a kind of a balancing act. I think Marvel, they're very controlling, but at least they have somebody who has a guiding vision and they know what they're doing. And I think why they split with Edgar Wright is obviously because they weren't letting him do what he wanted to do. He kind of wanted to make his own standalone Ant-Man film, and they wanted it to tie into the MCU. But at the same time, what they're doing instead is they're kind of getting these new directors and giving them kind of like a big sandbox and say, okay, yeah, you've got to hit these story beats, but for the rest of it, I mean, you can kind of do your own spin on it and let them cut their teeth on something really big, which is, it has its own benefits in another way.
Yeah. So maybe it's just Snyder and Loeb is what we're concerned about. But all these other people that get involved, maybe they can salvage something and make it work. And who
Yeah.
was it that said that Edgar Wright's script was the best superhero thing he had ever read?
Joss Whedon.
Was all right. So yeah. So I think that's considering like that's pretty high praise. So
Yeah.
too bad we'll never see it.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll put an animated version of it out or something. Just working off the script.
Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like I talk about this almost every other week. These days.
Well, it's a big deal. I mean, as much as Dave doesn't like it, and I understand that, and as much as I don't think we're at the fatigue point yet, and it's really these kind of big tentpole films like this, like your Star Wars, like your superhero films. That's the kind of stuff to get excited about. Those are your big movies, and that's what a lot of the money is made. So, as a movie podcast, it's our duty to talk about these things.
We got a big weekend coming up. The summer season officially kicks off.
I might actually go see this movie, which is amazing.
Yeah. Avengers Age of Ultron. We'll see if it's worth all the hype. All right. So, anything else?
Nope.
All right. So, let's move on then to our 5 favorite genre films. Foreign genre films. So, Matt, why don't you define it for everybody what a genre film is, per se?
Really, a genre film is any kind of thing that's not like, your serious drama or comedy. Generally, when people say genre films, they mean things like science fiction, fantasy, or horror, although it can include things like westerns or like film noir. Those are genres, but really, when I say genre, I usually mean sci-fi, fantasy, or horror, and that's do most people.
Yep. All right. So there you go. So why don't you go first? I went first last week, so why don't you start us off?
Okay. So I kind of just trying to decide how I was going to set the rules for myself to do this. I was going to make it just foreign language genre films, but instead I decided to things that were just made out of the U.S. for fair game. So some of this is in English. So my very first pick, number 5, is The Road Warrior, an Australian science fiction movie. Obviously post-apocalyptic. People are battling across the Australian outback over resources and gas. And Mel Gibson is leading the defense of a ragtag group of survivors against an external threat. A lot of action, a lot of craziness. Light on character development, but who gives a crap because they're driving around blowing shit up in cars.
I always preferred Mad Max because I like a good old revenge tale. I'm always a big fan of those. And I'm really excited for the Mad Max Fury Road because Tom Hardy and what does it say? Maestro Glenn, what's his George Miller? What's it? Yeah. They bill him as like some directorial god.
But his entire oeuvre is what? The 2 Mad Max films or the 3 Mad Max films
right.
That you do Thunderdome?
So my number 5, I think, is going to be a little higher on your list, so I'm just going to mention it briefly. Okay. And if not, just tell me no. Okay. But it's the Swedish film you referenced earlier, which is Let the Right One In. One of my favorite takes in the vampire tale. I really enjoyed the U.S. remake as well, and I said if I hadn't seen the original, I probably would have liked it even more. Mm-hmm. But I shouldn't say this is a point of contention for you. It's not a remake, right? It's a different adaptation of it.
That's right. When it's a book, it's not a remake. You're just adapting the book in a different way.
So there you go.
There you go.
I'm a big fan of this film. It is creepy, terrifying at times. Very sweet story about a young boy who has a very difficult home life, and he meets this strange girl on the playground, and they forge a fast friendship. But this girl, there's something up with her. She's a vampire. Oh, so anyway, and she might not even be a girl. I don't know. So anyway, but if you haven't seen the original, do yourself a favor, check it out, and make sure if you end up buying the Blu-ray. There was a bit of a controversy for a while. I don't know if you remember this, Matt. When they first released it on Blu-ray, they did new subtitles.
Yeah.
And the new subtitles didn't match the actual translation properly. So they ended up repressing the Blu-rays with the proper subtitles from the original theatrical release. Mm-hmm. So you have to see that. And I think you have to, on the back of the Blu-ray, it says original theatrical subtitles. So you have to look for that. So there you go. But that's my 5.
Well, that was my number 4. So I mean, there's not a whole lot to add. I mean, it's really well shot. I think one of the things I really liked about it was it's got this very cold, stark Nordic, kind of vibe to it, and seems very alien, in kind of a different world, very otherworldly. I think it's it's a great film, and I'm with you. I really liked the American adaptation of Let the Right One Win with Chloe Grace Moretz and Cody Smith McPhee. who's but the new Nightcrawler, by the way. So yeah, I thought I thought it was a really good film. If you like vampire movies, definitely check it out. It's one of the better ones out there.
Yeah, definitely. My number 4 then is the Australian Western, The Proposition, starring Guy Pearce and is it Brendan Gleeson? And basically, Guy Pearce plays a member of this gang, and him and his brother are captured in a shootout. And no, it's Ray Winstone. Sorry. So Ray Winstone's character, he's the sheriff or the chief. I can't remember what it is, but he basically says, "Listen, I'm going to hold on to your brother, and I'll let him go if you go find your other brother, who's this notorious murderer in the Australian outback. You go get him and you kill him, and I'll let you both go." So then it's Guy Pearce's adventures crossing the Australian outback, trying to track down his brother to maybe kill him. And then everything that happens in between, when he ends up meeting up with his brother, what ends up happening with Ray Winstone and the sheriff. It's a very, very just kind of lean, mean film. It's very, the Australian outback, very open. How it plays in with the Aborigines as well and how they're treated. It kind of touches on them. But if you haven't seen The Proposition, it's written by Nick Cave, actually, and he also provides the music to it. But it is a great little Western, just violent as heck, and you just can't take your eyes off the screen. So if you haven't seen it, check it out, definitely.
Cool.
Have you seen it, Matt?
No, I haven't. I'll have to check it out. I really like Westerns. So,
and Guy Pearce is really good in it, too. Yeah, you should check it out.
Awesome. All right, so my number 3 is a Spanish dark fantasy film by Guillermo del Toro, Pan's Labyrinth. This is the story of a young girl named Ophelia living in 40s Spain after the Spanish Civil War. Her father, I believe, is an officer or is a government member hunting down rebels, the last remaining rebels, and but she's also kind of visiting this magical labyrinth where all these fantastic creatures are interacting with. Really incredible visuals in this film. And I do like the whole, aspect of what's real and what's not, what's maybe a figment of our imagination, or is it really happening. I kind of keep you guessing the whole way through. So, it's a really good film. Definitely worth checking out. If you haven't seen it, Guillermo del Toro is, I think, one of our collective favorites as far as his visual style goes.
Number 3, huh?
Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Oh,
I'm going to go and say it's a little higher on your list, but we'll see.
My number 3.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Kim Ji-woon's I Saw the Devil, which we actually did for this show, Matt, when you were originally back on the show, right? You saw this. Yeah,
I did see I Saw the Devil. No. You're thinking of Thirst. I did not see I Saw the Devil.
Okay. Well, I Saw the Devil is one of the most beautiful, disgusting films you'll ever see. It is the way it's shot. It starts with basically there's this cop whose young fiance is brutally murdered by this psychopath guy, and the cop basically just goes nuts and spends the rest of the film trying to hunt this guy down to get his revenge and kill this guy. But the way the encounter with the killer and the fiance is basically at the beginning of the film, and the way it's shot in this snowy road with this crane shot, right, and you see him dragging the body and the blood. I'm telling you, it is disturbing and yet beautiful all at the same time. And the whole film's like that. It is one of the more, but I can't stress enough, it is one of the more disturbing films you'll ever see. There is a scene, there's like a 90-degree turn into this where he's hunting down the killer and he ends up running up with this family of cannibals. I mean, it's just a bizarre film, but it's unforgettable. And if you love Asian thrillers, this is one of my absolute favorites. It is scary as all hell. It's very unsettling. But like I said before, beautifully shot all at the same time, exceptionally well acted. You really need to see it. But make sure you have a firm stomach. If you can't handle any kind of violence or gore or anything, then I do not watch this. Especially the big fight at the end with the two of them finally catch up with each other. It is unforgettable. So that's my number 3.
All right. My number 2. It's dual genre. This is science fiction, but it's also, I think, one of the major introductions of Japanese animation in the West, and it's Akira. So this is a story about a motorcycle gang in a future Tokyo, Neo Tokyo, that get exposed to a psychic, a series of psychics that are maintained secretly by the Japanese government. One of them gets all kinds of crazy psychic powers unlocked in him, and he basically goes on a rampage throughout the city while his friends in the army try to stop him. Really weird as far as the plot goes. It's a little dense and maybe a little incomprehensible at times, but incredibly influential. Like I said, it's really one of the first times Japanese animation was exposed to a Western audience. It's a great story. It's got incredible visuals. So it's really, really cool if you haven't seen it. It's one of probably my favorite anime movies.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I feel like it's required viewing for anybody who's like in their late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen the film.
You mean like you, right? You're just past that. You're like in your mid 20s now. So
right,
really,
exactly.
You can't.
So I still have time. The window's not quite closed.
That's right. All right. I mean, and I will caveat this by saying, it's a very different type of storytelling, and as far as some of the plot goes. So it can be a little hard to follow sometimes. So you really got to pay attention to it.
Oh, I don't have that.
You can't deal with that.
No,
With the reading and having to pay attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like the old Des Moore joke. I'm dyslexic. So when I watch it with somebody, we just keep banging our heads together.
There you go.
All right. So what am I next? Number 2. It's a story of a widower. He has a lovely young son. And he's been alone now for about 7 years, Matt. And I think his son pushes him to maybe it's time to start dating again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up holding a buddy of his is a film producer. So he decides to hold a mock audition while his actresses to maybe find a woman for him to date. And he meets what he thinks is the perfect girl. And things go horribly wrong after the audition. Takashi Miike's seminal classic, one of the greatest Asian horror films you'll ever see, has some of the scariest things on film I've ever seen. The scene alone with the bag
was freaky.
Freaky. It will give you nightmares. Audition was one of my first experiences to Asian horror. And I was all in after that. I'm telling you. This is one of the most disturbing, unsettling films of all time. And I don't want to say too much more. Just if you haven't seen Audition and you're a fan of that stuff, do yourself a favor, get it this weekend and watch it. Yeah,
that is a slow burn film, but man, when it flips that switch, man, it is like a roller coaster straight downhill. It's a great one. It's a great one.
So what do you got?
All right, so number 1, probably one of the earliest genre films out there. This is the 1922 silent classic Nosferatu. Silent film, adaptation of Dracula, but they couldn't get the rights to Dracula, so they kind of made it their own thing. Short, I think it's just at an hour, maybe a little over an hour. But the visuals in that film are still effective, in my opinion. A lot of the, Max Schreck, which has got to be a screen name of some kind. The makeup is very effective. A lot of the shots of him fading out of the shadows and him kind of gliding up the stairs, they look almost friggin' real. And it's a really effective, atmospheric, creepy film that's really good to watch. It's essential. You have to watch it.
Yeah, I have never seen Nosferatu.
No, you haven't? Oh man, Chris, it's so good. It's so much fun to watch.
I'll have to see if it's on Netflix. If it is, I'll watch it.
There you go.
Watch it right away. All right. So I think I kind of telegraphed it. My number 1, which is Pan's Labyrinth. I absolutely adore it. It's one of my all-time favorite films. I think it's a gorgeous film. Del Toro hits every single note on this. Should have been nominated for Best Picture that year instead of just nominated for Best Foreign Language Film. It is just a film that will just sticks with you. It's one that gets into your bones. It's beautiful. It's tragic, and it's basically like a fairy tale / nightmare come to life, set against the end of the Spanish Civil War, right? With Franco's people have taken over.
Yeah,
as you said, and all the subtext of that, coupled with her desperately trying to escape the world she's in. I think called the Faun initially in Spain, but he's not technically Pan. You know, he's not actually a. Anyway, that's just my stupid trivia for you. So anyway, if you haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth, I actually was able to do an introduction for this here at the Arts Quest, a local art theater here in Pennsylvania, about a month ago. I was so excited to do it. It is such a. I watch the film at least once a year. It is one of my favorites. So if you haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth, go out and buy it. You will not be sorry. You have to read. Though there's probably a dubbed version, but don't watch dubbed films. We're not fans of dubbed films around here.
No.
So, did you have any honorable mentions for us?
Yeah, I had actually quite a few honorable mentions. So, The Descent, which is a British horror film.
I didn't even consider that.
Really good, really good. But the best part of that is when they're those tight claustrophobic shots that wigs me out watching that. It gives me the chills just watching them squeeze through those spaces. Audition, Battle Royale, the Japanese kind of precursor to the Hunger Games, where they make a bunch of preteens go fight to the death on an island. Pretty funny, but also pretty brutal. The Babadook, which we've talked about, which is an Australian horror film. The Host, and actually, of my favorite, I kind of debated whether to put a French horror film on here, but I put Martyrs, which I think is, out of the kind of three big ones, I think is my favorite of the three.
Yeah, those are all good picks. I also had The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, which is the Japanese or Korean kind of remake of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun and really odd. Battle Royale, like you said as well. Sukiyaki Western Django, which is Miike's Western as well. Of course, Babadook's good. I didn't even think of the Babadook either. The Host, the Korean monster film. It's more monster movie than it is horror film. I should stress that. You know, it's comedy drama. But it's great, and I've talked about it before on the show. And of course, I just for the hell of it, I threw Iron Sky on my honorable mentions.
Nice. See, I've never seen Iron Sky. It's been sitting in my queue to watch. I've just never gotten around to it.
Yeah, the director's cut was on Netflix for a while too. I did not check that out.
Okay.
But Iron Sky is just so weird and bizarre, and it's if you should watch it. It's not great. It's not, but it has some really great moments. So yeah, you should check it out. I was thinking too, I was wondering initially, I was like, should the Raid go on there? But no, because it's martial arts, which originated in that area, so I can't really count it. It's not like it's an American genre film.
Right. I don't know. Well, maybe, I guess, would you say, and see, that's where I struggle with genre a little bit, because, if you really want to get granular, anything could be a genre, like an action film could be a genre, but you got to figure it's so huge, it's not kind of like a niche thing, you know?
Yeah. Interesting. I remember when I saw The Descent in the movie theater. Were you with us?
No.
Actually, with a buddy of mine from college. That's right. My friends Terry and Roger. We went to the theater to watch it, and we all freaked out by it. Man, I love The Descent. The second one's not that bad either.
I haven't seen the second one. I didn't want to sully the first one.
It's okay. It's not. It's not half as good as the first one, but still, it's. And I love Neil Marshall. Anytime he puts out a new movie, he is like, for me, he's like a modern day John Carpenter with the genre films. Yeah, Doomsday, Dog Soldiers.
I'm surprised you didn't. I didn't throw it out there because I'd never seen it, but I'm surprised you didn't throw Wreck out there.
I thought about Wreck, but I also felt I was a little too horror heavy.
Yeah.
So I actually like Wreck 2 better. I think I like that one better.
Okay.
And now that I think about it too, I probably should have thrown Doomsday. Doomsday is fun. Is funny, not hilarious. Funny. It's weird because it's really great for the first half.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It kind of peters out a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. That first 40 minutes or so are really good.
The Escape from New York-esque version of the film is great until they get into the woods and the forest and then the night stuff. Anyway, all right. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your favorite foreign genre films? Shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Next week, well, what is there to say about next week?
James Spader.
You're wondering why you can't look inside my head.
Sometimes it's hard, but sooner or later every man shows himself.
Oh, I'm sure they do. But you needed something more than a man. That's why you let Stark take the scepter.
I didn't expect. But I saw Stark's fear. I knew it would control him, make him self-destruct.
Everyone creates the thing they dread. Men of peace create engines of war. Invaders create Avengers. People create smaller people. Children. I lost the word there. Children. designed to supplant them, to help them end.
Is that why you've come? To end the Avengers?
I've come to save the world. But also, yeah.
That's the only reason I'm going. Got to get my Spader intake. We're also going to do a fun little list. We're going to do our five favorite times that robots really screwed people over. So we'll talk about that. If Dave gets a chance to see it, and if he's back next week in time, and if he's rescued all those puppies and hasn't moved on to hamsters or cats, we're going to do. We'll get some Ex Machina talk in. I saw that this week as well. So lots to talk about there, and some other stuff too. So I'm looking forward to next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's the beginning of the season. It'll be a check off the list of one of my most anticipated films, along with Spectre and Star Wars. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Nice.
So that's it. That's the big show for this week. Look us up on YouTube. You can watch the live stream of the show while we record it, and then eventually I edit together an actual cohesive version of it to watch. And then, of course, on iTunes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Just do a search for The First Run. Matt, anything you want to plug? As always, just your great job at work.
Yeah, I'm really plugging along here. One thing on the I did notice as a streaming pick, I'll add this an addendum. Showtime Anytime, if you have Showtime, has Boyhood right now. So if you want to catch out, one of the best films of last year, go ahead and check it out. It's out there.
Nice. And do you have is Showtime getting? No, wait, it's Stars is getting Evil Dead. Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah, I do have Stars, so I will be checking that out.
Oh God, it's killing me because I desperately want to watch that. I'm not going to get Stars.
Maybe we can work something out, Chris. Maybe we can work something out with some Stars. Stars Anytime.
All right.
Or whatever their version of it is.
All right. That's the big show for this week. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching, and we'll see you all in a week.
All right, turn this come around. You're taking me to Tokyo.